She was used to the stairs. Every day, Eleanor rolled herself through the park's cobblestone path, the uneven rhythm of her wheels echoing in the silence. She kept her eyes forward, chin high, as joggers passed, pretending not to glance at the twisted blanket covering her legs. Pity had become a scent she recognized, cloying, like old flowers left too long in a vase. Today, the scent was heavier. Because today, a boy no older than 10 had run straight up to her wheelchair and said something no adult had ever dared to say. "I can make you walk again." The words hung between them like something sacred or profane. She blinked, confused, then laughed. Not a cruel laugh, but the tired kind, sharp and short, like air being let out of a wound that never healed right. "You're sweet," she said softly. "But that's not how life works." The boy didn't flinch. He had wide, serious eyes. One of his sneakers was untied. He held something wrapped in cloth, a long, narrow case slung across his back like a toy sword. But he didn't look like he was playing. Eleanor wasn't born into silence. She had once been a ballet dancer, one of the best. She had stood on tiptoes before crowds, floating, spinning, commanding rooms with the grace of a falling feather. Her name had shimmered on marquees. But the world isn't always kind to grace. One night, on her way home, a driver who couldn't remember his last drink hit her car at 60 miles an hour. She remembered the glass first, the sound of it exploding like 1,000 stars. Then the cold. Then nothing. When she woke, her legs were gone, not amputated, but useless. The doctors called it a miracle she was alive. She called it something else. For 15 years, she lived in that wheelchair. People whispered hero and inspiration, but they kept their distance. What they really saw was a broken thing that used to dance. But this boy, he didn't see that. "You don't believe me," he said gently. She shook her head, still amused. "I stopped believing in miracles a long time ago." He kneeled beside her, unwrapping the case. Inside was a thin wooden violin, battered, scratched, but polished. With care. It looked too old for him. Too sacred. "My brother played this," the boy said. "He was in the army. He used to say it could heal hearts. When he didn't come back, I promised I'd keep playing. I don't have medals like he did, but I have this." Eleanor's smile faltered. He placed the violin beneath his chin and began to play. The first note was soft, like the whisper of a mother's lullaby. Then it grew, full, deep, a sound that belonged in cathedral halls or open fields at sunrise. People began to slow. A jogger stopped, turned. A mother lifted her baby from a stroller, hushed by the melody. Eleanor felt it first in her fingers, tingling, then up her arms. Warmth. She closed her eyes, and in her mind, she saw the studio again. The mirrors, the bar, the ache in her toes after hours of rehearsing, the joy of movement, the freedom of flight. Tears slipped down her cheek. Then something strange, a twitch, not imagined, real, in her right leg. Her foot, still wrapped in a blanket, shifted slightly. Her breath caught. Her heart raced. "What?" she whispered. But the boy kept playing. A few more notes, and her left leg stirred. Gasps echoed. A small crowd had formed. Someone dropped their coffee. Another whispered a prayer. Eleanor gripped the arms of her wheelchair, trembling. And then, like a dream breaking open, she slowly, shakily, began to stand. The boy stopped playing. Silence. No applause. Just awe. Eleanor stood upright for the first time in 15 years, her face bathed in sunlight and disbelief. The boy looked up at her, his voice quiet. "Sometimes the body listens when the heart finally believes." "This," she whispered, "wasn't music. This was a gift." He gave her a small, sad smile. "It was never mine. It was my brother's. I just carried it long enough for someone who needed it." And just like that, he slung the case back on his shoulder and disappeared into the crowd. People talk about miracles as if they happen in thunderclaps and lightning. But sometimes they arrive in the hands of a child, in a dusty violin, in a song that reminds you what it means to feel alive. Silent strength, Eleanor would later tell a reporter, is the loudest thing I've ever heard. And across the world, millions would watch that moment, sharing one truth: kindness doesn't need permission. And some heroes wear no uniforms, only purpose. If this story touched your heart, tell us where you're watching from. Subscribe for more stories that honor silent heroes and unseen battles.